Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Level With Me podcast, episode 98. And this is going to be a very special episode, which is probably going to be the last episode of Level With Me podcast, because this week we are going to mainly be focusing on E3 and all the news related around that. And we realized that for the past, few months, if not a whole year that we've been doing this, the podcast has kind of been like in a weird space, and we want to try to like make it a little bit more like focused. So this is going to officially be the last like Level With Me podcast, and then we're going to take some downtime and plan out the next podcast, whatever that is. And obviously we'll let everyone know about that in the coming weeks whenever that happens. But for this week's episode of Level With Me, we are going to mainly focus on all the announcements of E3 2021. And if you're wondering who I am Game Bro Corey. And my co-host, Mike, a.k.a. The Collector's Vault, is coming to us from the hospital. I believe he's in a coma because they announced a new Metroid game. It has been many a years. Can you believe it, folks? It's finally happened. Are you there, Mike? Can you hear us?
I'm sorry, Corey. This is the nurse. Mike's still in his coma.
Okay. Can you poke him with a stick? Is he okay?
God, Richard, Corey, is that you? God, I've been in a coma for
dread.
God, how long has it been? 24 hours?
Something like that.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. This is Mike with the Collector's Vault and with Level With Me. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I've been pretty ecstatic ever since yesterday. So, yeah, forgive me for my my recent coma. But I'm back, and I'm ready to talk about not just what caused that coma, but all of E3. Well, mainly the Nintendo one. That's all I really watched. But I know Corey can go into more detail on the other ones.
Well, I was going to ask you, here at Level With Me, we do always love to keep Nintendo for the very end, but would you rather us start with that and we kind of work in reverse and then go through the other press conferences and announcements? I have a few things to say about the other ones, but I would say most of my talking is also going to be about the E3 or the Nintendo Direct.
Well, it's funny because you were just saying earlier how, like, before we started recording, that the other E3s were not as impressive. Like, I think a lot of people were saying that Nintendo definitely killed it this year. So, I'm fine doing the Nintendo one and just kind of sprinkle in the other ones as we go along.
Big bias here at Level With Me. We love Nintendo, and yes, I would definitely say the Nintendo Direct for the E3 2021 was probably the best presentation. And again, being biased, but these were the announcements Nintendo fans wanted for ages. Nintendo really brought their big guns. We finally got many new IPs coming to the Nintendo Switch. Well, not new IPs, but like properties that have been dormant for years on the Switch.
Oh, yes.
We got a new Metroid game. We got a new, reboot of Advance Wars. We have a new WarioWare coming. There's another Mario Party game, which is kind of interesting because it's almost like a remake of the original Mario 64, but then there's also like other mini game. That was an interesting one. What else am I forgetting? They announced there was a lot about the Shin Megami Tensei 5. I'm not really interested in that, but I know that's
it looked really good.
Yeah. There was a new Fatal Frame. I know people love those. There was a lot of cool like little announcements of other games coming to the Switch, like all the Life is Strange
Doom Eternal got like some DLC stuff.
Right.
Life is Strange, yep.
Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, that was like that
I forgot about that.
RPG game in the Dragon Ball universe. The new Guardians of the Galaxy game that they announced is going to be a cloud version on the Switch. That's crazy. All right, though. I don't want to go through everything here, though. Where would you like to begin? Should we begin with Metroid Dread, or should we begin with where this article starts here on GameSpot about the latest Super Smash Bros. Ultimate character?
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about that guy. The guy, the murderer who just threw people into a volcano.
The Tekken man, Kazuya.
I honestly could not remember his name when I'm watching. I'm like, oh, I know that guy. Yeah, like, that's from Tekken. That's all I could say. Which is, I'm not a big Tekken. I mean, I like Tekken 3, but I'm not a big Tekken guy. And then even when he's like, yeah, Kazuya, I'm like, I don't know what his name is. All I remember was Gon, the little like dinosaur guy.
I remember Heihachi because he has been a guest character in a lot of other games like Soul Calibur, that PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale. That's probably why it's not Heihachi, because he was in that game that we don't talk about, the horrible Smash clone. But yes, Kazuya from the Tekken series will be joining Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I believe the direct or the little like presentation with Sakurai is going to be coming out on the 28th of June, so that's about 2 weeks from now. I assume he's going to come out that week, if not the same day. My thoughts on this character, I don't really have a strong attachment to the Tekken series. However, I do love when Sakurai puts in traditional fighting game characters into Super Smash Brothers, because I feel like they always are kind of these like weird, like, oh, how are they going to work in this game, like compared to their original.
And you see that with and like you see that during the gameplay. Like he moves just like how he does in the Tekken games, you know? It's almost like strange seeing like how like awkward his limbs are because they're moving like, and that's like that's the detail that Sakurai keeps into the games, so it's great. But it's like awkward seeing how he moves and fights, you know?
I legit don't know how this character is going to work, because right after they had the reveal, Sakurai was on the stream for a second being like, let me show you some of his moves. And he legit has like all his moves from Tekken, which are like 30 to 40 moves. So I don't know if like some of his special moves are going to, or like, I legit don't know how it's going to work. Like if the tilts and the different directions, like maybe like he's
one of his button commands. Yeah.
Maybe like one of his jump buttons is going to be like another attack button or something, or his grab. I don't know, because I know he does have special moves. That's like his devil Kazuya form or whatever. He had like the laser beam and the like recovery wing move. But yeah, I'm actually very interested to know how he works, because like even Terry has like a unique thing where his like back B is like a different move than his forward B. So he has like 5 different special moves technically. But yes, this character, he's really cool to be in the game, and again, I'm very curious to see how he's implemented. Actually a little bit of controversy coming from this character in the Smash community. Because he's being added, everyone is grouping him with the other fighting game characters, which are Ryu, Ken, and Terry. And people are referring to them as Shotos, and that's causing a lot of drama, because apparently you shouldn't technically consider Terry or Kazuya a traditional Shoto. A Shoto is more like a Ryu, where it's like a character with a fireball type move and an uppercut and like the like tornado type kick, so to say.
Yeah, like Liu Kang from Mortal Kombat would fall in that category probably, right?
Sure. I don't want to step on those grounds.
Yes, fireballs.
100% sure. I'm going to say yes. I'm just not that familiar with Liu Kang. I played a decent amount of Mortal Kombat, but I can't really remember Liu Kang for some reason. But it's like the Smash community is like up in arms about what to call these type of characters. There's even been like other new terms coming out, like should we call them fighties, because there's like the Star Fox characters are all called like spaceys. I think all this naming convention stuff is just ridiculous. Just call him Kazuya. That's his name. Like, why?
Just call him Tekken Man.
Yeah, sure. Why do you have to put him into this like category,
like subcategory of fighters? Yeah.
Like, I don't even call, like, when I see a fox, Falco, or wolf, I don't be like, oh, you're playing a spacey. I would just say, oh, you're playing Falco.
Is Metroid? Is Samus a spacey? Because Metroid's like a space themed like game.
That's a lot more spaceys, because we have Dark Samus, we got Zero Suit, we got Ridley.
My goodness.
I digress. It's a stupid controversy that doesn't need to be a controversy. That's my hot take about that. But he looks cool. I'm honestly shocked that they didn't actually reveal both of the final 2 characters.
No, they're milking it, man. They're milking it.
I'm very curious to know when they'll announce that last character. Hopefully it's not as late as the Game Awards, because the last character is supposed to come out this year. So I'm very shocked, and I will say this to all the fans of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate: don't get your hopes up too much, because someone pointed out that Nintendo doesn't like to always leave like this bombastic, epic character for last. The last fighter revealed for Ultimate was Incineroar, And the last character for the previous fighter pass was Byleth. Both of those characters were not that hype, just saying. So literally it could be anything. So just set your expectations low.
Gino.
Yeah, he's a me costume.
There was a big rumor that it was gonna be Doom Guy. That would be a funny one thing to end on.
I would love that. Doom Guy or Master Chief, I feel like would be so weird.
Yeah, I don't think I think we had this talk before, but Master Chief is just not going to happen. I think, in my personal opinion, they'll definitely. I think they'll do Doom Guy way before Master Chief.
The only reason I say Master Chief is because he is also like a very iconic video game character. Like everyone sees that armor and is like, oh, it's Halo Guy. So like, that's the only reason I could see it. Plus, they're like buddy with Microsoft. You know, Banjo and Steve, like the Minecraft characters, are in there. That's all I'm saying, but I would love either or. Personally, I don't even think those are going to happen, but it would be badass. I digress, though. Let's talk about something that you can talk for a while here. Let's talk about Metroid Dread.
Oh, my lord. Like, where do I even begin? I feel like we should do this do it last, because I can talk about it for so long. But
all right. That's fine. We can go down all the other categories. So like I mentioned up front, they announced Mario Party Superstars, which is like basically almost a remake of the original Mario 64, but then they also added like more mini games from other previous Mario Party games in here, so it's almost like a best of, so to say. I forget what it was called. I think it was like Mario Party 100 or whatever, but they had that like 3DS game where they did a similar type thing.
It was just mini games, right? Like,
yeah, there were no boards, but this one has all the original boards from the first Mario Party the first Mario Party game on the 64. And then
I think like 2 and 3, because I want to say like the one was like it was like Spaceland. That was definitely a Mario Party 2, because that was my favorite of the originals. So
that's awesome. Then I didn't know that. Okay, cool. So maybe it's like a pick and choose from the original ones.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. But then all the mini games are from like I guess all of Mario Party history, just all revamped.
Right.
Kind of neat. I'm sure some new ones.
And I think this looks great. I'm a big fan of the Mario Party games. I personally think this one looks really good as well. Like all the characters look really great. Like there's like really good detail on like Mario and Luigi and Peach. And obviously they're adding more characters in there than the like original Mario 64 or Mario Party 64 or whatever. I saw Birdo was in there. I saw Rosalina. They haven't revealed like all the different characters. And I actually didn't get around to watching gameplay of this. I know on the Treehouse Live they did play some of this, so I'd be curious to see like if they still have like the buddy characters from Super Mario Party, or if they have like the candy or the traps and stuff like that. More research needs to be done on my end, but right now I'm just saying I'm gonna buy this. It looks great.
I agree. I also want to get this because I didn't play Super Mario Party yet because I have no one to play with because I have no friends. But since this one is online play, I can play with people that I don't know and make friends, hopefully.
Right. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a good point. They did point out that you can like play online and you can pause your online game and come back to it, which is actually really interesting.
Yeah, the online one, I don't know how that worked. I thought they just meant like if you're playing like by yourself, like on your own computer, like with bots or whatever, or with friends, like you can pause the game and come back later. But online, I don't know how, unless like your friends online say, sure, I'll go grab some lunch too, and they'll come back later. I don't know how that works. Or it just means while you're playing, you can pause it, then go to the bathroom and come back. That's why I wasn't quite sure what they meant.
Maybe it's like the host of the lobby, like maybe it's like a lobby-based system, and it's like, okay, guys, we're going to pause this, or we're going to save or end or whatever. I don't know. Maybe they even revealed these details. I didn't really look too much into it, honestly. Speaking of more minigame collections, they announced a new WarioWare co-op game. WarioWare Get It Together.
WarioWare Nose Hair Plucker.
Isn't that in every WarioWare game?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I was never a big WarioWare fan. The games look neat, but it's just mini games. The game. That's what it is.
I love it. Yeah, but they're all like so silly. Like they are so silly. Absurd. Like there was one where like a kid had like ice cream, and then like the ice cream blew off the cone, and like his like child face turned to this like disturbing man face because he was sad the ice cream fell, like that kind of weird like stuff.
The Japanese humor is funny. Yeah, it's basically just pure Japanese humor.
And
with
then
Wario at the center of it.
and then also there are a few like Nintendo games thrown in there. Like one of the mini games was Super Mario Land, the Game Boy game. Another one was, I believe, like Animal Crossing Wii, which is City Folk, or maybe like the original Animal Crossing on the GameCube. I don't know. This looks like a lot of fun. It's really weird because it's like the first like WarioWare game that one is co-op and two you like actually play as like the characters from WarioWare, because obviously it's not just Wario. It's like all his gang of other friends like Ashley and Kate and Anna. I'm blanking on a lot of the other names. There's like Bit, I think, is one of them. I forget. But this looks great. I'm very happy the WarioWare games are coming back. I enjoy the wacky gameplay of them. I think this looks silly and fun. Like we mentioned, there was a lot shown about Shin Megami Tensei 5. I actually didn't look at any of this because, like I said, I don't really care about this. I saw some screenshots that look nice. Mike, do you have anything else to say about this they want to chime in on?
I've only ever heard of the game series, and I've heard good things about it. So at first, I had no idea what this was until it said Shin Megami Tensei, and I'm like, oh wow, this game actually looks really like cool. So even though I'm obviously not a Shin Megami Tensei fan, I'm like, I'll be honest, just from watching the way the game looks and plays, it looks like it's a lot of fun. Maybe I'll give it a shot. I don't know. I didn't know it was like an RPG though. How like you encounter enemies and then you like go into like the turn by turn like combat and everything. So it's interesting.
Indeed. And like I said, I know it's a big series. Like, this is going to do incredibly well. It's just something I've never been into. It's a similar series to, like, Persona. Like, I think it's actually made by the same team of the Persona team. Atlas, yeah. Next up here, there were a few cool announcements. I mentioned Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is coming to the Switch. That's like a complete edition with all the DLC. I think that came out in 2020, like the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I think it was.
I heard that was okay. It's like an open world Dragon Ball RPG.
Yeah, I was so hyped for it, and then I heard people say like, "Yeah, the game's okay." I'm like, "Well, that's not the answer. Not the answer I wanted to hear." But whatever.
Also on that note, speaking of like modern games, the latest Guardians of the Galaxy game, which was just announced at this E3, is going to be coming to the Switch. Crazy enough, it is going to be a cloud version of the game, which means that you have to actually be connected to an internet source to play this game, because it's essentially being streamed from the internet onto the Switch.
Wow.
And they've actually done these type of games. I don't know if they ever done them in the United States, but I know Japan had a few of them, like the latest Assassin's Creed, or maybe it was Assassin's Creed Origins, was like a cloud game. Resident Evil 7 was a cloud game on the Switch in Japan. I think even Europe might have had like one cloud-based game. I think this is the first time they did in the United States, if I'm correct. But I think this is really cool, because that's a brand new game. Like, that's awesome. Just play it at home and get an Ethernet adapter.
Yeah, just get on your Stadia, your Google Stadia. Wait, is that still a thing? Oh.
Yeah, it's definitely still a thing. During the Ubisoft press conference, they talked about Stadia, and I was like, oh my god, Twitch chat is loving this.
They're just like, just die already.
Next up, Switch is getting Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater. Oh, I didn't realize it was a port from the Wii U.
Yeah, I learned that later, that it was a port.
I actually would like to check this out, though, because I've been very curious about the Fatal Frame series. I like horror games, and I know that that's like a good series, so I think this is
I've never played it. I have played the, what's it called? There was like a fan game that was essentially the exact same thing. It was like the exact same thing as Fatal Frame.
Dead
and
Rising.
That was really... No, it wasn't...
You take pictures. Frank West, he's covered wars.
Yeah, he takes selfies, though. It's different. I was part of... Yeah, it was, I forget what it was called, but it was a really cool little, like fan-made game. It actually was really creepy. So it was like seeing Fatal Frame, maybe it's basically the exact same game, Only, like, an official Nintendo game. And was it on the PlayStation at one point?
I thought
it was. Right. Yeah. Anywho, yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of the
GameCube and the Wii. There was like one on the Wii.
Really? Maybe it was all Nintendo. Well, anyway, they say Nintendo owns it now. Yeah. I mean, I'm not the big fan of it, but I think it's cool. Getting another Wii U game getting second life on the Switch. I think that's great.
More reasons to put that Wii U in the trash.
Yeah. I mean, I hate. Look, all I'm saying is my Wii U is a great great paperweight. All right.
The Wii U is a great Wii emulator.
In all honesty, I do love the Wii U. It's just I just feel bad that it didn't do very well.
Miiverse, great memes.
So many good memes. I can't tell you how many times I was playing Yoshi's Crafted World. No, it was Yoshi's Woolly World, and I just get all these people like drawing very inappropriate things of Yoshi whenever I beat a level. I'm like, okay.
I loved when Nintendo or Smash for Wii U added that Miiverse stage, and you would just play, and there would be like little posts in the background as you play.
Yeah, just like penises everywhere or something.
Right.
You're like, what the hell? Like, damn it, stop.
I think I even posted some weird and appropriate pictures myself because it's fun.
Oh, you would, Corey.
It's
you
fun.
You sicko.
Okay, everybody shut up. They announced a new Advanced Wars game. Hell yeah. I love Advanced Wars.
Oh, man.
I mean, technically, it's not a new game. It's a remake of the first two games.
But it's built from the ground up, so it might as well be a new game.
I'm so pumped.
Honestly, I never played Advanced Wars, but I remember in school, like, friends of mine had their Game Boy Advances, and they were playing it. And I'm like, oh, look, a little war game. That looks pretty fun. And I've heard nothing but good things about, like, Advanced Wars and that War Groove game that came out, like, a couple years ago. People, like, actually, that was like 2 years ago, maybe.
I played War Groove. It's great.
Yeah, I heard great things about it. So it's like, maybe even 3 years ago that game came out. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I'm very happy for you, Corey, and for all the other Advance Wars fans. You get to basically play the game as if it's a brand new game.
I will say this. When I saw this immediately, I thought about so many posts I've been seeing on Twitter recently about, like, you can only pick one of these dormant Nintendo IPs to be shown off at the next Direct. And out of everyone, one was Advanced Wars. And I was like, no one is picking that. Like, who is picking that? Everyone picked F-Zero off this list. But I'm just saying, you got to think, like, if they're willing to go to Advanced Wars, you realize Nintendo also has to be willing to go to F-Zero. So there is hope. That's all I'm saying. I believe that either next year or 2023, we could see a new F-Zero game on the Switch. If not, a remake of the one on the GameCube, which everyone loves.
I'm very, very hopeful.
I could see it. Also, it would be cool to see like how well this does, and maybe Nintendo would be like, "Oh, hey, we'll make a new Advanced Wars game." Because I think the last new one was on the, I think it was on the DS. Damn, maybe 3DS. I don't remember. I think it was DS though.
I couldn't tell you.
Also, this game looks great. It's made by was it Way Forward? Here, let me look at the article real quick. But like the little like anime like portraits and transitions of the characters looks fantastic.
Yeah, I think they did a good job with that, with all the character portrayals and the graphics themselves. I like it a lot.
It is made by Way Forward. That's the people who make the Shantae games.
Oh gosh, look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, I can see it now in the artwork. Actually, you know.
Yeah. And you have all the classic like Advanced Wars like sound effects, and I honestly think these games are a lot of fun. They might look a little simplistic to some people, but the gameplay, I don't know, there's just something so like satisfying about that. I had the one on the DS. I think it was like Advanced Wars Dual Strike or something like that, you know, because it's DS. But it was a ton of fun. Like I just loved like killing time with that. And like you said, like War Groove scratched that itch, and they did such a fantastic job with like the pixel art. But that was more like a medieval, like fantasy theme, where this is like straight up like military
guns and tanks.
It is really odd seeing a Nintendo game with just straight up like a M16 and like just tanks and helicopters, because this is technically a Nintendo property.
Yeah, tell it to Mad World where
Splatoon.
You're like, yeah. Well, Splatoon's one thing, but I mean like Mad World, you're shoving like traffic poles up people's asses. Yeah, but Nintendo published it.
I mean, there's even No More Heroes that was on the Wii.
Yeah, they just take No More Heroes, for example. Fuck it!
And next up here, we have a few. I'll just run through these. These are a lot of like the announcements. Like, oh, these games are coming to the Switch. All the Life is Strange games are coming to the Switch, including the new one, Life is Strange True Colors. Oh my god, I can't speak right now. I was too excited from Advanced Wars. But these games are fantastic. If anyone hasn't played any of the Life is Strange games, I highly recommend you check them out. Really good, like, story-driven, like, point-and-click style games. Kind of like the Telltale style of things. I really loved them though. They're great. Doom Eternal DLC is apparently out now. The Ancient Gods Part 1, and I assume they're going to have the other Part 2 coming later. Mario Golf Super Rush, that's coming out in 2 weeks. I can't believe that. But that's going to have content after launch, which is awesome. They did the same thing for Mario Tennis as well. They added a lot of characters and courses.
See, it's funny. I was never a big Mario Tennis fan. Like, I know it was popular back on like the N64 and everything, but Mario Golf I've always liked, and I think this one looks really fun.
I am very excited for this. I've been craving a new like good golf game or a fun like wacky golf game. I actually really enjoyed the golf mini game in Clubhouse Games. Shout out to Clubhouse Games. That was like our first Level With Me video we ever did. But yes, I'm very excited for this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun with both like the traditional golf style as well as that like wacky mode where like everyone runs around and gets like power-ups and stuff like that. So I think this looks great. I agree.
Yeah.
Next up here, this is kind of like a bummer of news, but maybe some people are excited for this. They announced a Zelda-themed Game & Watch is coming later this year. And this is similar to the Mario one that they did last year, except that this version of the Game & Watch will feature 3 Zelda games, which are the original Legend of Zelda game from the NES, Legend of Zelda 2, Link's Adventure from the NES, and Link's Awakening, and that is the original like Game Boy version of it. And then there's also like a clock themed after the original Legend of Zelda, and then there's like a timer themed after Legend of Zelda 2, Link's Adventure, or whatever. I'm not personally interested in these little Game & Watch things. It's funny. I actually always see the Mario ones anywhere I go. Like if I go to Target and Walmart, and I'm like, should I pick this up? Is this a collector's item? But there's always like a ton of them. And they're only like $50 or $60, but I'm like, I don't know. Like that's just like another thing to put on my shelf.
I don't think they're worth $50 or $60 personally. I mean, 3 games, sure, but I don't know.
This one could be more because it's got more games in it. The Mario one is just Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, that's true.
But here's the reason this is a bummer. During the Direct, and we were just talking about Arlo, he just made a video about this.
Yeah, I saw it too.
What's the name of the creator of Zelda? Forgive me.
Ayuma.
That's right, Ayuma. He confirmed that this is the only thing being made for the Zelda 35th anniversary. Yeah. We are not getting any sort of Zelda 3D
like new game or anything, yeah.
Which is a big bummer.
I'm sure they were hoping to have Breath of the Wild 2 ready by the end of the year, and it sounds like it just won't happen, which stinks. You know? I saw the video Arlo made, and I remember, he did say that, like, oh, we don't have anything planned for this year besides this. But technically, you still have Skyward Sword, you still have I don't know. I guess you're right. Like, it's definitely very disappointing for Zelda. Like, I found a really good meme actually of like Zelda fans being like all disappointed because they're just sitting there with their little like Game & Watch thing while all these other IPs are like all happy that they have like new games and amiibos coming out. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing. I really would like to see like a collection. I think they could have done this. I think they should have done the Ocarina of Time. They should have ported the one from the 3DS on the Switch. And then Wind Waker from the Wii U, as well as Twilight Princess from the Wii U. I think that would have been a good bundle.
Yeah. Maybe even like Majora's Mask. I do agree. Like they could have done like a Mario, similar to the Mario collection, the Mario All Stars. They could have done something for Zelda. I totally agree. Why they're not doing it, I couldn't tell you. But I also don't know why they're not doing the Metroid Prime trilogy on the Switch. So there's a lot of questionable things that Nintendo does or does not do.
I know, right? So that's a bummer. Before we get to the rest of the Zelda news, I did want to actually include this. I forgot to add it into this direct story because it actually happened at an earlier press conference. Yeah. But
they mentioned it in the direct, or they bring it up again. You know,
Mario plus Rabbids is getting a sequel, Sparks of Hope. I am very happy to see this come back. I think this game looks incredible. I really enjoyed the first one, even though I'm not a big fan of Rabbids, but I like the XCOM, like, tactical style gameplay. I like the changes that they're doing with this one. Like, when you're on the overworld. It's kind of like a more behind the shoulder look. The new like aesthetics of the like characters and the enemies looks really cool. I like the theme of like you're probably going to be going to like a lot of different planets and exploring them and interacting with like a lot of new characters as well as like new enemies.
Yeah. It definitely seems like the scope is just so much bigger for this game, because it's not just like, oh, you're going through the Mushroom Kingdom. Now it's like, then you're going. It's kind of like Mario Galaxy, how like you're going to space. Like, dude, you're going to space now. Like, who knows? Like the limits are endless, or there are no limits. I should say. You know, but the possibilities are endless, and there are no limits. There we go.
And good thing you mentioned space, because one of the new mechanics that they added into this game is now there's like these weird abominations that are like lumas, like the little star creatures fused with rabbits.
Rabid lumas. I love it.
And from what I understand, watching the gameplay, there might have been treehouse gameplay of this too. I don't know. But those are almost going to be like little assist characters that come with you. Like they're all going to have like little abilities that they do. I don't think they're necessarily going to have like a turn where they like attack, but they're all going to have like little special abilities. For example, in the trailer, the one Luma like goes up in the sky and like starts a big meteor shower on the battlefield, which I actually thought looked really cool. Also shout outs to Mario with his weird dual pistol things. It reminds me of the ancient meme where it's like Mario from like someone made a crappy like Mario image from Mario Sunshine, but he's dual wielding like M9 pistols. And someone on Twitter said the reality, this is a reality now, which I thought was hilarious. Also, the villain looks cool. It's like this big like purple menacing galaxy wizard person. And I'm stealing this from Twitter as well, but someone said that that's probably Rosalina, and I believe them. Also, I gotta shout out the rabbit that has like the Cloud Strife, like the sword, like that's like an original character, and she looks awesome.
Yeah, the green and black hair. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but it's that's
like just an original rabbit character. But yeah, I was like, oh, I love me a big sword. Yeah, more of that, please.
Oh, look, it's Rabid Smash character.
Oh, man. Could you imagine if that's like the last character?
Oh, God, I can't believe I just said... what did I just invoke? Oh, my gosh. I know somewhere Sakurai is just like eavesdropping on me. Oh, that's a good idea.
But anyways, I had to just add that in there. Back to some of the Zelda news. The little Game & Watch thing wasn't the only thing. They also talked a little bit about the first DLC expansion for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. That looked pretty cool. Link has like these nunchuck type things that are almost like a whip.
Yeah, like guardian arms, but they're like whip, like almost like whip like nunchucks. Pretty neat.
Speaking of the guardian, you can play as a guardian, which is pretty cool. That's probably my highlight of the DLC trailer. And then last but not least, Zelda comes riding on that motorcycle from the original Breath of the Wild DLC, which is fun. Again, I'm not like super hype about this DLC. It's funny because we were actually talking about Age of Calamity before we started recording, and I was even thinking watching this, I'm like, oh, I really want to go back to that game and actually like finish it, because I did really like Age of Calamity. I think both of the Hyrule Warriors games are fantastic. They're just kind of long, and because I'm not a huge fan of that like Muso style, like just slashing constantly. Like it gets a little repetitive, so I get burnt out quick on those type of games. But I liked Age of Calamity. I do want to go back to it. And then before we get to the Metroid news, of course, one of the big highlights of this Direct ended it strong with a Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. What's that?
Oh, I thought you were going to say Skyward Sword.
Skyward Sword 2? Close enough. I mean, you're going in the skies in Breath of the Wild 2.
At one point, I'm like, wait, it is Skyward Sword. And I'm like, oh, no, never mind. Yeah, that one scene with, like, Link, like, basically, they took that from Skyward Sword, which I think is kind of cool.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, this looks great. I'm actually going to watch it here live again, because I really can't remember a lot of the key features from this trailer. I remember like the new. Well, see, one thing that's pretty cool is like the Sheikah slate is actually not there anymore. Now, I realize like Link's arm has like
what looks like Sheikah technology wrapped around it. People think it's like the same arm from the earlier trailer from like 2 years ago, whatever. Gosh, 2 years ago. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so like that. Apparently, that's where he can do his Sheikah powers, or like the what are they called? The runes, like how he can do how he froze like those big iron balls in place and threw them back. I think at one point he's fighting like some kind of like weird like worm monster in a cave, but he's like using his hand to like shoot fire at it. So I was actually getting some Skyrim vibes actually, like how you can use like you can like dual wield spells and like just shoot fire and stuff out of your hands. But pretty neat. And there was also the one where he warped up like through like I guess he like warped through like he like shot up into the sky and like warped through like a pillar or something.
Like, I remember seeing that. Yeah, he like turned into water or something.
Yeah, it was weird.
And then like I was gonna say, like the main theming about this is it's almost like, which is really smart, is they're taking a lot of that original map from Breath of the Wild and more or less just elevating it and adding islands into the sky. So there's gonna be like a good contrast where there's gonna be the new islands in the sky and what I assume will be like holes in the ground where you can explore like underneath Hyrule and above Hyrule, which is smart.
Yeah, I definitely want like more caves. Like I want like, cause I think again our little favorite blue monster friend Arla mentioned like there weren't that, besides the shrines, there weren't that many caves, and I totally agree. Like yeah, like if you're gonna take chunks of the land and shoot up into the sky and make that like its own like new thing. Yeah, like there's gonna be a lot of holes in the ground that you can make like caves out of, or whatever, or whatever. So,
something that interests me is I wonder if they're gonna bring back weapon durability, because I know that was a very controversial thing with the original Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I hope they, at the very least, if they do, I hope they introduce real crafting where you can just keep making weapons. You know. I think, or at least give you the opportunity to make your own weapons.
If you want my opinion, leave it in. It adds diversity because you're constantly using different weapons. If you get rid of the durability, you're just going to use the same wepen, maybe like 2 or 3 the whole game.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what I thought. Like with like any game that crafts weapons, like once you build it, it's like I'm just going to use this until I find a better weapon, which is fine. But I'm sure at some point, like once you craft that perfect weapon, it's like, okay, well, I'm never going to use anything else. Like I can understand why the Master Sword can be like that weapon that you always have once you achieve it. Well, yeah, I think the weapon durability, I thought it kind of added like, I don't know, I think it added like a fun element to the game where you did have to conserve your weapons and find more. But I just wish like you could actually, again, like I just wish you can craft your own weapons. I think it just would have been, and your shields and armor. I think that would have been kind of fun. I guess technically you do craft your own armor at the fairy fountains, but like you know what I mean.
Also, some other things to point out. I'm looking through some like images here because I thought there was like an interview where they talked about some details about Breath of the Wild 2. I'm trying to look for it, but obviously Link has like a more like a different design now. He has like almost like a green like little tunic on his like side of his shoulder, and then his other side has, like you said, like the Sheikah arm, so to say, and like his hair is kind of like longer, it seems, or like in a little like man bun or something like that. There was also the one part of the trailer where like there's these giant like spike balls of death rolling down, and like he freezes them with the magnesis and actually launches them back up, or reverses time, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, someone mentioned that it was more like time being reversed. I thought that was also kind of like neat. Like that would be a cool new rune to use,
Okay, now I'm crazy. I'm not finding anything about more details. Maybe it's a different user on Twitter. Anyways, let's wrap up the Nintendo Direct with, of course, Metroid 5.
Oh gosh, man! Where do I begin? So earlier you were kind of questioning like, or how like, or like you obviously weren't aware of this, but like the title Metroid Dread, like everyone lost their minds, including myself. I was at work when I was like, I actually scheduled my lunch break so that way I could like right at noon, so that way I can like watch it with like my headphones on. And there are times where I'm like, oh my god, I just want to scream and I can't. I'm like at the office, and But yeah, like, so for those who don't know, Metroid Dread, like, the reason why, like, you might see like on YouTube all these reactions of people freaking out, like, not only were they freaking out that, oh my gosh, it's Metroid 5, like, which people have been waiting for since since 2002, because, like, as you said, like, people, and they kept mentioning this. This is the first like new 2D Metroid game, like, chronologically, since 2002, which is crazy, after Metroid Fusion.
That is wild.
But also, people lost their minds when they saw the title Metroid Dread, and that's because, like, I think it was like back in like 2005 or 2006. So this is like after Prime 1 and Prime 2 came out, and like people were like, "Wow, like is doing great," and people were waiting for the next 2D game, and because we had Zero Mission at the time as well. I think Zero Mission came out I think the same year as Prime 2. So people were waiting for the next 2D Metroid. Again, like, the 2000s were a great time for Metroid fans, but people were waiting for it, and there was a rumor called Metroid Dread on the DS. And I think there were like some concept art out there, and like it looked really boxy and stuff. Again, the DS, and the rumor just kept coming up, and like, but obviously nothing ever came of it. And this is true because I played this game many times. In Metroid Prime 3, there was like a little thing you could scan and read, and it actually teased saying that the Metroid Project Dread was like nearing the final stages of completion. So people were like, "Oh my gosh! Like, is Retro Studios working on the next 2D game? Are they working on the rumor of Metroid Dread?" That, of course, nothing ever happened, and I think it was like told that Sakamoto said the project was canceled, and it kind of just became like a myth at that point, you know. And Corey just brought up the screenshot of like the log that you can read in Metroid Prime 3. So like, yeah, people thought like, oh my gosh, it's real. Like, even like Retro Studios is putting this in like their game as like a teaser or an Easter egg, but it never happened. And like, so everyone and everyone knew it. Like, I think it was also like rumored that it was going to be the sequel to Fusion. So everyone was looking forward to it. It never happened. So seeing it yesterday during the presentation, like, that's why Metroid fans, because like, basically if you were like a Metroid fan since the 2000s, you knew about Metroid Dread, the rumor of it, I should say. So that's why everyone lost their minds. Again, including myself, I was losing it. And my God, like, that trailer was so well. It was a nice beefy trailer too. Like, I was actually shocked that they gave like Metroid that much love and attention. And oh my gosh, so great. So great. I mean, Corey, I know you're not a big Metroid fan, but what did you think of the trailer? The trailer, at the very least.
Oh, dude, it looked incredible. I am super excited for this game. I am so happy that they are making another 2D Metroid game. I know it was kind of rumored going into this direct.
Yeah.
But of course, I didn't know about like all this stuff, that it was a project that was teased way back in the day.
Yeah.
But I think it looked great. I loved first of all, I love the design of Samus's new...
Oh, you almost called her Metroid, you jerk.
My bad. I got distracted by Twitter, excuse me. But yeah, like, her new armor, of course, looks great. And I thought it was really cool, what's the name of the robot? Is it Eerie or something like that?
They're called the Emmy. It's like, Emmys.
Like, them, like, hunting her down. And, like, the initial trailer, I'm, like, blown away. And then there's, like, that second one that comes in with the gameplay. And it's like, oh, yeah, this looks fantastic. Like, just the tone or the atmosphere of all the levels. It's, like, it's dark.
It looks so creepy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the cool thing, because, like, I wanted to mention, like, see if you like, because Metroid Fusion is a great game. And it was definitely, I would say, one of the scariest Metroid games. Even though it was a Game Boy game or, Game Boy Advance game. Like, because, see, I don't want to spoil this because, like, we haven't gotten to that game yet in our little, like, Let's Play. For our Let's Plays for Metroid, but I will say that there is like a very similar threat in Metroid Fusion that stalks you. So it really did create like a lot of tension. It actually created, like, as again, like, the title is perfect. It created dread. Like, you were just constantly like in fear of this thing coming up, and because you couldn't fight it, and it was so different in Metroid to have that. And them bringing that back, that concept back in this game is just so great. And it looks like this is going to be like pretty not like I guess like not constant, but I think in the trailer you saw like only like certain rooms or areas are going to be like when you're in like hiding mode where you have to evade the enemy robots. But like, man, like watching that trailer, like I was just like, man, these things are creepy. They're fast. Even just their movement, like how they move around like almost like geckos or something. They just crawl along the walls like seamlessly, like not stopping or anything. And then finally, I loved when they showed what happens when you get caught. Like it's an instant death. So that's like it's chilling, that these things are just like it. You can't stop them, and then when they get you, it's game over.
And the gameplay looks nice and crisp, like all the different things.
Oh, yeah.
Samus's arsenal, like the spider.
Yeah, that's new. The spider magnet, that was pretty neat.
Yeah,
it's similar. It's similar to what we saw. Like I think we're playing AM2R, like the spider ball. How you can go in your morph ball and roll on the ceiling. So this is kind of like giving you the ability to basically be Spider-Man. It's kind of what it gives you the ability to be,
which is fun. And I was going to mention about the new mechanic, like the sliding. And apparently there's like a new like slide like counter or something, because they're bringing back that counter attack that was in Samus Returns for the 3DS.
Yeah, I think it's fun because that was. I don't think I really mentioned that in the one video I made, but yeah, like that's probably the one thing I don't like about the counter in Samus Returns. Like it's such a great mechanic, but it does break the pace of the game because you have to stop and then count and like whack an enemy and then shoot them. But in this game, Dread, they built upon that. So yeah, like you see how like Samus is just running and then counters while moving, and like she just like the action looks so cool because she's like almost like jumping. Like, so I guess like when you the player hit like the counter button, she jumps in the air, and while like midair or like while jumping at the enemy, she'll whack it and like stun it, and then do a finishing blow with her gun. Like it looks so great, and then it looks like after you do that, you just keep running. So it really helps the pacing of the game. Like it doesn't stop the momentum,
And the great thing about this is, if you want to look up more gameplay, I know there was a ton of this on the Treehouse, which I actually would love to watch some more of it.
It was very cool. I actually wish I didn't watch it because I don't want to spoil anything for myself either. Like,
fair.
Because I'm worried. Unfortunately, I did watch it like an idiot because I just wanted to see what the game has to offer. But it stinks because I do feel that when you for me, I would have probably gotten more out of it. Like even from like the horror of the game. Like I think like me now knowing more about what the enemies are, it's like I hope it doesn't take away from me playing the game myself and being scared. But I don't know. Still pretty cool.
That reminds me. Are you all good? Wrapping up on Metroid Dread?
Yeah, I just had like a few more things, but we'll wrap it up.
Well, I just wanted to go back quick to Breath of the Wild 2.
Oh, sure.
And I just wanted to point out that Nintendo did confirm that the game is not called Breath of the Wild 2. It has a title, but they don't want to reveal it yet, because then we might find out like more about the enemy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they did officially announce that. Which is kind of interesting.
I guess because they kept saying it's the sequel to Breath of the Wild 2, and they never once said it's Breath of the Wild 2. So that's interesting that you mentioned that.
Yeah, you can go back on it if you got more to say about Metroid Dread.
Yeah, well, the last thing I want to say is if you guys want to watch the Treehouse video, go right ahead. Actually, there's a really cool thing where Sakamoto even talks about the history of the production of Metroid Dread. It's pretty interesting seeing all that, seeing it finally come into light, why they had to cancel the project and everything. But yeah, I'm so pumped. I know a lot of Metroid fans are pumped for this. I can't wait to get it. And one more thing, even the graphics, they look gorgeous on this game.
Oh yeah,
gorgeous. Oh gosh, I can't wait to play it.
Yeah, Samus's suit, the lighting on all the different parts.
Yeah,
so cool.
Yeah. And I think they even mentioned there's a reason her suit does look different in Metroid Fusion, but it looks even more different here. And I think they confirmed that's not just a design choice. There is an in-game reason why her suit is the way it is. So again, a lot of mysteries that I can't wait to get answered. And luckily, we don't even have to wait that long. October 18th is the release date?
I'm pretty sure it's October 8th. It's like the
8th? Oh, yeah, even better.
Really close. Yep, the
even better.
October 8th, that's a Friday. Yeah, all these games are coming out this year. Well, besides Breath of the Wild 2. But yeah, the Advance Wars game comes out in December.
Mario Golf is coming out.
That's 2 weeks. Shin Megami Tensei, I believe, is this year as well. The Super Mario or Mario Party Superstars, that's at the end of October. So that's a Nintendo almost like just filled out the rest of their year with this direct, which is a-okay with me. WarioWare is in September. There you go. They got it all.
Man. Yeah. The one more. I will say one little complaint though. I really want the special edition, and the scalpers already beat me to it.
Oh yeah,
it's
those things
awful.
are like $300 on eBay.
It's awful, and I'm so mad. I was at work. I couldn't buy them.
They'll restock them. Don't worry. Just check a bot or something. You'll get it.
Yeah, I just gotta become a scalper, and I'll get
Go
no
down
problem.
a back alley. You got any of those Metroid Dread special editions? I didn't get any of the Amiibo either. I tried to pre-order those.
I want them so bad. I want the Amiibo so bad.
I love the Samus one. It's so cool.
Yeah,
Both
I like her stance. Cool. But anyway, so that's enough drooling over Metroid Dread.
And don't worry, Mike. They did also say Metroid Prime 4 is still being worked on.
I know, man. That game better be and one more thing I want to say is, now that we have Metroid Dread, I will say, man, I bet they were probably just dying, saying, "Oh, we want to show this game off so bad,"
right?
But then COVID happened, and they're just like, "Oh, we can't do it yet."
Wow, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, we might have got that way earlier.
Yeah, they're probably saying "Oh my gosh, we want to show this game off so bad," and they couldn't do it. And people are complaining, "Oh wait, there's no Prime Trilogy, remake, and there's no news on Prime 4."
I know.
And they're probably pulling their hair out. "Oh, but we have a game to show you guys, but we can't do it yet." And so I'm so happy that they were able to show it off. And I'm also happy that it's from the same guys that made Samus Returns, Mercury Steam. So it's cool. Nintendo has faith in these guys, which I think is great.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm done for that.
No, but I 100% agree with what you're saying. There's been so much discourse on all the social medias being do they even care about Metroid anymore? And it's guys, just hold your horses. We got something to show you, please.
Please don't hate us. You're gonna love it, I promise you. Oh gosh.
All right. Speaking of super soldiers in power suits with visors, maybe we should take a second to talk about the Xbox and Bethesda E3 showcase.
Oh boy, Halo Man.
Halo Man was in the spotlight. Halo Infinite. Okay, this is super weird. They didn't announce an official release date, but they said holiday 2021. Which
still are not done with it.
Which leaves me a little skeptical that it could not come out this year. But they had a little story trailer, which of course looks great. They definitely enhanced the graphics because that was something that a lot of people had issue with when they first showed off Halo Infinite in E3 2019. But that's looking great. More importantly, though, the thing that I'm hyped for is they revealed the multiplayer completely. First off, the multiplayer is free to play anywhere, PC or your Xbox, and it's cross-play. And this multiplayer looks fun as hell. I believe all Spartans have there's a grappling hook now, and you can grapple hook the power weapons. You can grapple hook the fusion coils and throw them at people or vehicles. You can grapple hook onto a vehicle and hijack it from someone. This looks so fun, and they're bringing back all the weapons. It's almost like they're picking and choosing the weapons from different Halo games, the best of. The assault rifle kind of reminds me of the Halo Reach assault rifle with the little yellow on the barrel. The pistol kind of looks like a combination of the one from ODST and the original Halo 1 pistol. The BR is straight from Halo 2. There's of course new weapons in there. There's a new shotgun that's kind of it's more like an automatic shotgun kind of. There's a new not a DMR, but it's kind of an automatic DMR type thing. It looks like so much fun. It looks like what you think of Halo being this sandbox first-person shooter. It just looks like it's going to be a ton of fun. Equipment's back, and there's all new types of equipment. There's the shield, and it's you can shoot through. It looks so much fun. I recommend you all go watch a trailer for it. There's you can fully customize your Spartan, every piece of him, his different armor, pretty much like Halo Reach, but even amped up from there. There's going to be a battle pass, and I guess you can keep your battle passes every season, they don't run out, which I think is really neat. I'm curious how they're going to integrate the free-to-play stuff. I hope there's not too much cosmetics that you have to buy. I'm just excited that it is free-to-play and cross-play, because that means that's just going to keep that game alive and thriving, which is awesome. And like I said, it looks fantastic. I was very excited to see this. It actually got me like really excited for a Halo game, even though I haven't really played a Halo game since like the Master Chief Collection. Other than that, they also revealed Starfield, which is coming in November 11th, 2022, which is exactly, 10 years, or 11 years, excuse me, from when Skyrim came out. Because Skyrim came out 11/11/11. But this is Bethesda's new RPG. So basically, like Skyrim, or excuse me, Elder Scrolls is like their fantasy RPG. Fallout is like their post-apocalypse RPG. Starfield is supposed to be like their sci-fi RPG. So they talked a little bit about this is set like, I think they said 100 years in the future or something like that. And it's going to be a big open world RPG where you can explore different planets. Of course, it's going to be like first person and you can change into third. Just put your expectations in an Elder Scrolls, but think more sci-fi, almost like a Mass Effect. It looked really cool. It was a very small teaser. That new engine that they're making the game in looks fantastic. It was like a woman like astronaut on a planet about to like launch off. There's a really cool like mech design moving on the planet, and just like the way it moved, like I just looked at that and I'm like, that's a Bethesda game. It looked really cool. I'm very excited for that. Let me scroll through here and see if there are any more notable things to talk about. There was a lot of news about Back 4 Blood. That game is actually going to be free on or coming to Game Pass, which is really awesome. So if you have Game Pass, you can play that day one, which is great. And Back 4 Blood, they showcased the PvP mode, which I was very excited to see. One of my favorite modes in Left 4 Dead was, where you could play, people would play as the zombies and then other people would play as the survivors. They're bringing that like to Back 4 Blood, which I was like, yes, I love that. Also, I think either right before or during this, they announced that Back 4 Blood is also all like cross-play, which is great because that's just going to keep that community thriving, which I really love. Let's see here. Let me scroll down here. Right before E3 happened and then in E3, they revealed Battlefield 2042, which I'm very excited for this. I'm a big Battlefield fan. It's set in the future. This is a sequel to 2041. But it's not too far in the future. We're not getting like laser rifles, so to say, but there's some like a little bit of mechs and drone type things going on in there. But this is their biggest Battlefield game ever. There was 128 players in the match. These maps are wildly huge. Everything is destructible. The physics going on are crazy. Not to mention, with all that going on, there's like natural disasters happening. Like the one map has a tornado that'll come through. The other map has like a rocket that will like launch off, and then like all the aftermath of that, like all the smoke and whatever in the air is like going on. The tornado will actually like pick up people, and like you have to, try to land on your feet and not die by all the debris being picked up.
That's hysterical.
It's crazy. I also recommend you guys go look up the gameplay trailer for this. It looks incredible. Something that's interesting to me that they're changing is in traditional Battlefields, you almost had like a class that you would pick, like your medic or your engineer. Well, in Battlefield 2042, you actually have more like a hero that you pick, which has like an ability. And then like your weapon and your different like attachments you have kind of can be like free form, which I think that's going to definitely be interesting. I wonder how that's going to work. One of the like heroes had like a little grappling hook. And this is definitely the year of the grappling hook. It's in Battlefield, it's in Halo, it's in Doom. Grappling hooks are big right now. Let me see if there's anything else notable in here. The Microsoft one, I feel like a lot of E3 too. You could definitely see some of the workings of the pandemic where some of these conferences didn't really have a lot of new things, but more they had like updates to games or like games that already came out, like coming to their platform, so to say. I mean, Nintendo had a little bit of that. Let's see here. Oh, this one was kind of random. There was like a... Have you ever heard of the game, oh my god, what's it called? Gang Beasts.
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, it's this little, like, arena, like, top-down, like, party game that has, like, crazy physics. You play as these weird, like, cartoon character guys who kind of run around, and really the whole point of the game is to just, like, knock people off. But the thing about Gang Beasts is, like, the controls are, like, kind of weird. And you don't necessarily have like a weapon or anything, but you can like grab. So you can like grab the things in the environment, or you can grab like people and pick them up and toss them off. Anyway, it's like a fun, wacky, like little party game. Think of almost like the wackiness of Fall Guys, but a little bit toned down.
I was actually thinking of Fall Guys. That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Well, they announced like this new game called Party Animals, it looked similar to Gang Beasts, but all the characters were like these like very cute like animal mascot looking characters. Like there was one that was like a corgi, one was like a cat. I think there was like one that was like a gorilla, and there was one that was clearly a Godzilla, which is like that almost sold me. I mean, they got a not Godzilla in their game. They showed off the new Forza, which is awesome. I'm not really a big car simulator guy, so they didn't really do anything for me, but it looked really nice. And you also have to think that that studio is going to be making the new Fable, so that's kind of cool. There was a lot of reveal, or they showed off more of like Far Cry 6 than they did during the Ubisoft press conference as well. Before I get more into the Xbox conference, I want to go back quick. Oh god, I just lost my train of thought.
Oh no.
Talking about Fable and the car simulator. Oh, okay. Did you hear that Rare's new game, that Everwild, actually is like being completely rebooted?
No. Oh no.
It's not canceled, but like now I think the release date's like 2024 or something like that. Like it got pushed back.
They pulled a Metroid Prime 4. Oh no.
Kinda, yeah.
I guess they just. I mean, and again, like it sucks, but I guess that might just speak volumes of them saying, like, look, we're not going to release a shitty game. We're going to make sure it's as good as possible. So that stinks. But oh man.
From what I understand, apparently they just never had like a great like vision for what that game was. So yeah, they got like a new like game director or something like that, and now they're like reassessing what that title is going to be. So again, it's not canceled as of yet, but it's just being way pushed back. And weirdly enough, they didn't even talk about this in the E3 like press conference. That got announced like right after the press conference because probably everyone was like, well, where is that game? Why didn't they talk about it? But speaking of Rare, they did have an update to Sea of Thieves where they're actually having a crossover with Pirates of the Caribbean from Disney. There's like a whole new little mission with Jack Sparrow in Sea of Thieves, as well as other characters from Pirates of the Caribbean. Davy Jones and his tentacle beard are there. I thought that looked so fun. I'm like, that's so cool that this exists, even though I never played Sea of Thieves. But I'm like, this is a great crossover. And like everyone, I saw praise for this. Like everyone's like, this is awesome. I thought that was really neat. What else? They announced the Outer Worlds 2. I know like a week or two ago you were talking about how you want to play the Outer Worlds on Switch. Well, they teased the Outer Worlds 2, which is awesome.
Oh no. I'm so behind now.
Interestingly enough, that's not being made by Obsidian anymore, or Microsoft just owns the Outer Worlds, like that IP, so I don't know what studio is actually making that. Also, that means the quality of the game might not be as great, but, you know, we'll have to just wait and see. Let's see. Is there anything else? Age of Empires 4, that's kind of a big thing. I'm not a big RTS guy, though. Microsoft Flight Simulator, that's funny. Last but not least, I mean, this is kind of a big deal. Arcane, that's one of the studios that Bethesda owns. They made Dishonored and Prey. They actually revealed a brand new game exclusively on Xbox. And I forgot to mention this up front, but Bethesda's new RPG Starfield is an exclusive on the Xbox platform, which is kind of a big deal.
Oh, wow.
But like I mentioned, they also announced this new IP, which is called Redfall, which is, again, another like exclusive from Bethesda that's going to be only on Xbox. And I thought this looked kind of interesting, but at the same time, I was a little like, thought it looked a little bland. It kind of reminded me of like a Left 4 Dead style thing, like a co-op shooter. But the theme is that all the characters almost have like they almost seemed like more of an RPG style class. Like the one sniper dude had like camo abilities, and he had like a little raven going on, maybe a little bit more like Borderlands. The one girl had like this little robot guy who would do like weird stuff. The one girl was almost like had like magic abilities with her guns, and they're all like fighting these like zombies and like vampire type people. It was giving me like a Left 4 Dead type of vibe, which was a little boring in my opinion, but I thought it looked pretty cool at the same time. We'll have to see more of that, though. That I don't think that's coming out till next year. And I believe that's pretty much it. I'm going through the rest of the press conferences, and I don't think there was really anything else. I did mention, well, actually, I don't know if we talked about this, maybe in the pre-show or before we started recording. But Square Enix had a disastrous press conference. Basically, they showed off a game that everyone was really hyped for that they announced like a year or two ago called Babylon's Fall. And they're like, okay, first of all, this game looks way worse than the initial reveal, which is always fun. And then second of all, they're like, this game that's made from Platinum Games is a games as a service game. So that means you're going to keep playing it and 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 playing it. There is a never-ending, I forget how they described it. It's like a never-ending goal or something like that. And I'm like, oh, that's great. That's what everyone wants to play. And then they also revealed a trailer for their new Final Fantasy project, which is called The Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin, which is kind of almost like a Dark Souls style Final Fantasy game. We have like your little party and you play as this super generic looking guy who literally is just like a white man with like a goatee and like a t-shirt. Like it's really hilarious, his design. And it's made by Team Ninja, and I believe it's actually made by the people who made Neo in particular. So yeah, it's very much like a Dark Souls style game. But it was just hilarious, like, seeing this. It almost reminded me of something you would see out of, like, the Xbox 360 era, like, the, like, discount bin games. I'm actually sending a picture of the characters to Mike. Look at the main character, Mike. It is just man in shirt with a big anime sword. Like, you're
and
telling
green
me,
hair.
You're telling me, well, it's technically blonde. The picture's just...
Oh, well, I can tell.
But, like, next to these other characters with these, like, crazy armor... Like, he's just so boring. Like, it's crazy how they were like, oh,
he looks like he looks like he just got off his shift from the Amazon warehouse. He's like, all right, time to go fight some monsters.
Pretty much, yeah. And they also, this is kind of cool. They did release a demo of that game right after the press conference. But the funny thing is, it didn't work for anyone. It always crashed, like, right away. And they had to put out a hotfix. So everyone's like, oh, great. Square Enix had the worst press conference easy at a E3. Well, maybe you could even count Capcom, where they literally didn't show anything new. Capcom showed everything. They announced nothing new, like everything we knew about. But with that being said, that's pretty much it for E3. We covered it.
And now I'm just happy it's back.
What do now? Wait for Metroid Dread?
Yeah, I'm going to sit in the corner. Wait for the next 3 months.
October 6th? That's not that far, right?
Yeah, the 8th. Oh, it's even further
October
away.
8th.
Two more days. Oh,
Happy
no.
Halloween.
Yeah, I think it's cool that it is coming out like just in time, like, you know, a little before Halloween, because it is like a spoopy game. So, pretty excited. Actually, right now I have to go meet some crazy guy in a dark alleyway for his pre-order for that special edition.
You want that collector's booklet? I got it. You want those amiibo? That'll cost extra. All right, guys, and that is going to wrap up our E3 2021 discussion. Pretty amazing E3. I think Nintendo really saved it there. It literally was the dessert at the end of the meal. I'll
give them the gold medal. I mean, it's funny because they were like one of the last conferences or presentations, and it was just so good.
It was so good, yeah.
But
with that being said, that is going to wrap up this episode of Level With Me podcast. And like we mentioned up front, we are going to be taking a minor break to reassess the podcast. We probably are going to come back with a new podcast. It might not even be on this RSS feed. It might be somewhere else. We'll let you know. Just follow Level With Me on YouTube as well as the Instagram. We'll keep you updated.
Keep you updated, guys. Don't worry.
You can also follow us as well. Me, GameBro Corey, at Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter. Excuse me. I'll definitely continue streaming. We didn't really get to talk about the games we've been playing, but I got that Guilty Gear Strive. That game is amazing. I've been streaming a lot of that. So go check out my Twitch. And Mike, you wanna plug your little stuff?
Yeah, sure, but there's no more free outlets. I can't plug it in.
Oh, dang.
Oh,
did you bring your wireless charger?
No, it's in the bedroom. I can't reach it.
Live in 2021, Mike.
I know I just adapt. Anyway, but yeah, if you guys want to follow me, you can find me at the Collector's Vault on Instagram and YouTube. And just mainly for if you guys like collectible cardboard, Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh, all that fun stuff, sports memorabilia. I'm the channel for you, and I make little funny videos, and I try to make jokes every now and again. But but in all honesty, guys, yeah, definitely stay in touch, and we'll keep you guys updated on what we're doing with Level With Me. Like, obviously, what we're doing is we think it's for the best. Just to keep the community, we want to keep the community that we have so far, but we think like these changes are going to be better for the community and better for Corey and myself, I guess. So that way we can reach people or reach more people. I think that's the main thing of why we talked about restructuring. So we'll keep you guys updated. Don't worry.
It's gonna be for the better.
And yeah, guys,
it might take some time, but trust us. We'll be back.
Trust the process,
and it'll be an amazing thing.
Yeah. In the meantime, just sit back and watch more of that Metroid Dread intro trailer.
Or maybe you can watch one of the Collector's Vault video. God, I can't speak tonight.
No one wants to watch those videos. They're terrible.
Play Metroid Dread. Play as Metroid as she fights the robot. Is that Rob? Yeah. Is that where his origin story is?
I think it's GLaDOS. I think it's when GLaDOS started to turn bad. Or no, what was that robot from WALL-E? Give me the plant.
Eva. All right, take care, guys.
All right, see you guys.